everybody. This is Brady Henderson from the First Baptist Church of Gaston. You are listening to the Menorah Podcast, a podcast that seeks to share the light, speak the light, and send the light of Jesus Christ all across the airwaves of the internet. And you are listening to episode 116. Today is Thursday, July the 30th, and it is hard to believe that we are already almost done with July. After this, only 5 months remaining in the year. But hey, we've got a real treat for you today on the Menorah Podcast. Recently, our church sent a missions team from July the 6th to July the 10th to New York City. We are partnered with Jackson Heights Community Church there in New York, and we took a group of 8 people. And over the next several weeks of Menorah, we're going to try to let you hear from some of them. And first, we're going to introduce to you Robert and Christi. Robert and Christi, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, glad to be here.
So just want to talk to you guys a little bit about the missions trip. I know for Christi, I believe this was missions trips number 2 for you, and Robert number 1 for you. And so just kind of wanted to get y'all's thoughts on it, ask you some specific questions, and then, obviously we're already excited for next year. At the time we're recording this, I got an email today from Camille. She has already asked us to come back, and so that's cool. So that's good, at least. We're not getting fired from that, so to speak. And, because that can happen too. Because whenever you do partnerships, and I was telling somebody this, but for our listeners, probably about 10 to 15 years ago, churches would do mission trips based on what we call parachurch organizations. And so I went on some mission trips as a kid with organizations. So they were different organizations. One was called Spread Truth, New York City, where it was a nonprofit business that would orchestrate mission trips, and they would become really good at figuring out the logistics, and they would send out. So your church would just contact the organization and say, "We want to go to New York City. Here's when we can go," or "We want to go here. We want to go there." And what's starting to change within Southern Baptist life is that churches are being partnered with other churches. And so I think that's a more healthy and organic way to do it. And so our association lined us up with Pastor Jim and Camille. Through that, an organic relationship has been formed with New Song of Hope Church. Got to help with on Tuesday and Wednesday of our trip. And so that was super cool. I think it's more organic to do it that way when you do it naturally instead of necessarily going through a parachurch organization. But that's just a little clarification. Just want your opening thoughts. I'll get to some questions in a moment, but just your opening thoughts, overall, a synopsis of the trip.
For me, I was a little apprehensive going into it. I think mainly that for me, in the beginning, it was more of a safety aspect for her, for going with Christy. And then, I did some praying on it and thinking on it and started getting excited for just what was going on, what we're going to be doing, and just probably the unknown. But that was also a little
scary.
Scary, yeah, that's a good word. So, yeah, just the unknown, and then
I was excited to go. We had the mission trip before, and then just, wanted to go and serve again and just see what opportunities there were, and different people to meet and things to do. But it was also, Satan's going to knock on your door. Am I qualified? Just the doubts in your mind and stuff like that. But just glad you didn't listen to him, and just went along with it. And I think overall we reached a lot of people, and we had a really great time.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go back.
Yeah, it was really fun. I don't know about y'all, but so far this week I've been seeing the faces of the kids. Not in a weird, creepy way, but just, man, I remember him or I remember her. And I don't remember all their names, but just the excitement on their faces. And you mentioned Satan. God specifically designed our group of 8 because of the trials we had. I don't know if God could have picked out a better 8 to go through all that, because it was crazy. Obviously, that Monday morning of that week, Hannah and I woke up at 4:30, and she had gotten a text at 1. Obviously, we weren't up at 1 about the fact that the flight had already been canceled, and kudos to her. I'm sure we'll interview her at some point, but figuring out everything and getting all the kinks worked out. And so we got a day of rest on Monday. Well, I say we got a day of rest. Randy decided to go to work, but everybody else didn't. And so then Tuesday we got up ready to go, and then Monday night at 10, our Airbnb got flooded. Well, that ended up being a blessing because the hotel we stayed at was only about 15 minutes away from Jackson Heights. One thing I don't miss, I don't know about you guys, is the smell. The smell, I don't know if y'all noticed it, but man, it's pretty rough. It's definitely a specific smell. But let's kind of go through. Let's talk a little bit about New Song of Hope Church, working with that family, those church planners. The Adamsons are their names if you want to pray for them. And so 8 kids.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, number one, I can't imagine living in New York City. Number two, I can't imagine pastoring a church plant with 8 kids.
Right.
That was wild.
Yeah.
And one thing we got to see was how involved all the kids were. They were there.
Every one of them.
Yeah, I mean, they were there. They were walking around. And Robert, you and I got to walk around Rufus C. King Park
Yes.
and with them. So
That's right.
tell me a little bit about their independence. And, I mean, they took the bull by the horns.
They definitely did. For me, to see them at that age, that, like you said, the independence, just no fear, and the knowledge they had at such a young age, and leading some adults.
Yeah.
That was different.
Yeah, yeah.
but enjoyable.
Yeah.
It was good to see them like that and not hiding in a shell, so to speak.
Sure. And getting thrown into it because their mom
Right.
essentially said, here, take them down there. And our purpose in that venture was inviting people to church was the main purpose.
Right. Well, and they all the ones we interacted with, the kids, I know 2 of them weren't there. They were also good at that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the grace they have or how you want to describe that, but they really, there's no like, I don't want to do that. I mean, she said it and they went. Now, Lyric, on the other hand, she didn't need any coaxing.
No. And Robert mentions Lyric. To me, she was an Auburn redhead, but Hannah told me she wasn't a redhead, so maybe I'm colorblind. But that first day, on that Tuesday, we handed out 80 bottles of water, us and Randy, while the rest were getting to teach classes. And this is kind of funny, and I'll bring this up in Troy's interview. We go back in the room. We've been on the street. We've had some interesting conversation with some individuals. The Bible says clearly to give a cup of cold water in Jesus' name, so we took that quite literally, and we're out getting bottles of water, and we were able to pray for some people, and then some people, all kind of different street experiences. And we've got a 7 or 8-year-old out there with us. That was interesting.
Right.
And then we go back inside, and Troy Peel is teaching English. And I just couldn't help but laugh at the irony of the situation.
Yeah.
Is that Swansea Swamp Boy was, and of course he was doing a great job and everything and jumping in there, but it was kind of funny. I was like, I hope they can understand his dialect.
Right. Like, if they learn it, hopefully they just don't learn it and talk like him.
Yeah, that was funny. I thought I got a kick out of that, but really proud of Troy and our whole team. But yeah, Lyric, I was their kid, and I think part of our reason in helping with New Song of Hope Church wasn't just for the English classes or the bottles of water, but also to come alongside the church planting family and let them know you're not alone.
Right.
And that there are people in South Carolina that care about you or praying for you. And even something as small on Wednesday, we were there 2 days, on Tuesday and Wednesday in the mornings. On Wednesday, our church was able to buy their lunch, and that seems like a very small thing. But for church planners who, I'm blessed, I'm here, our church is financially secure, I have a salary, all that. They got a salary, but it's not guaranteed. They just don't have that plethora of giving. And so to have a meal for 7 kids or 6 kids because 2 of them were gone, I mean, that's a blessing in and of itself. And that was neat. That was neat.
Well, and you said the husband, he's the quote unquote part-time job because,
Yep.
There's just not the monetary
Yep.
backing there.
Yeah, and I was talking to some of the kids, they share bedrooms. They do everything possible because they're crammed in an apartment. And we saw their car parked on the street in front of the church. And when I say church, our listeners are thinking of a nice brick and mortar building. We're talking about 2 rooms and a basement.
That's
right. Which was a really nice basement compared to what Jackson Heights Community Church has going on, which we'll get to next. And so that was really good. While Jackson Heights is our primary partner, meaning, we were able to bring a check and give them money and things like that. That's all great. but our prayers are important to the Adamsons too, and maybe that could be another partnership in the future. But yeah, that was good. And Chrissy, you got to spend a little bit of time in the classroom while we were in the park that day. I believe Elmer
Yes.
was in there and some others. And so, just your thoughts on that experience.
That was nice to see. Just that they have the opportunity for people to come in, just walking off the street. I think that was his first time actually, and of course all of it's free, and then
Yeah.
just to have the curriculum. I was looking through that. It was like a 7 week or something like that, and just they are so thankful and grateful for the opportunity and to have all these teachers, just because to have somebody to talk to or listen to, just so that their English will get better.
Yep.
And if not, then the local churches give this opportunity. Where would they have that to be able to? So it was just nice to be able to be just a small part of that, even though I didn't get to participate in the classes a lot, because we were talking to people on the street, and handing out water. But it was good to see.
It was really nice too how receptive they were, or accepting of us helping them.
Yeah.
Like Elmer was. I mean, he did not mind us sitting next to him.
Yeah.
When I had the opportunity, a couple of the others helped him, but yeah, it just really, there was no push off. And another thing, you go back to the water. I want to go back a little bit.
Sure.
It was weird to see. Everyone thought we were like hand them a bottle of water and we wanted money for it. It's like no, this is
Free.
offering a gift. Yeah, free. Yeah, that kind of was weird.
It was a hard concept for me.
Right. Yeah.
And I think to go a step further, Robert, that when we evangelize with people in that area, it is hard for them to accept salvation because salvation is free.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not used to free.
Especially somewhere up there where everybody's wanting money for something.
Exactly. And I think it's here, I mean, we try to get things for free. We try to haggle people. I haggled that guy in the street. He wanted to sell Hannah a purse for $120. I got him down to $40. Thought I was doing pretty good. It probably isn't even worth that, but anyway. So yeah. I think that's a good point that you mentioned. So kind of changing gears. That was our time in the mornings on Tuesday and Wednesday. Our time in the morning on Thursday was we went to a Mets game. It just so happened, and God worked it out. They played at 1 p.m. And so they don't play a lot of day games, and so we had an opportunity to go, and that was cool. That was a lot of people's first major league game. I know you went to an Astros game in 1986.
Yeah, good.
I got that right?
A while back, yeah.
Okay.
86.
So first time since '86, and it was cool. Tanya, Savannah, and Troy. It was their first time. I had to apologize. Their first game I took them to was a Mets game. Should have been a Braves game. That's on me.
Womp.
Yeah. But Mets ended up winning. There was supposed to be rain. It ended up being a good day. But that was, other than Friday, that was pretty much the only sightseeing thing we got to do because we were so busy on the ground.
Right.
But that was fun to be able to do that because as we do this every year, we don't know if we'll be able to do that every year because of the schedules of the teams and the schedules of our VBS and all of that. But that was a little fun experience.
That's right.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too.
I'm a baseball guy, so of course I'm going to enjoy it. But the Mets played the Royals, and so that was a good time. And it was, I think it's important too, when we go on these mission trips to allow for bonding opportunities for the team, being us. And
Well,
that was cool.
Going back to the Airbnb, I think that was kind of a blessing too. I think we needed that time in the evenings away from one another.
Yeah.
I mean, we're with each other all day.
Yeah.
But then to go back to our hotel room or whatever and be, separate.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
Yeah, love you too, Robert. Appreciate it. No, I agree. And I think with all the adversity we face too.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about y'all, but as soon as I got my hotel room, I took a shower, went to sleep. I didn't do a whole lot other than that. I was tired. But,
No, not really.
we were, we got up early and we were usually out late. Hannah led us in a devotion every night, kind of a debrief time. That was cool to get to hear everybody,
Right.
And to see you guys grow, specifically Troy and Savannah. That was cool. I got to know Troy a little bit better. I'd never seen him outside of church, and to see his personality.
I think it was good for him.
Yeah, as a young man.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was good for all of us, and talk one more fun thing, then we'll go back to the VBS. We got to go to that diner with the people singing.
Talk
Oh, I
one
love
more
that.
good, fun thing, and then
Yeah. So, and right before we had done that, we were in the subway, and Hannah had pulled me to the side and said, "Don't tell anybody, but our flight just got canceled." And so I was telling y'all, I was like, "Oh, we have some business, but I can't tell you right now."
yeah.
And that's all that was trying to figure out that. And so
Okay.
we were sitting there in the restaurant eating. I'm sitting here thinking, how are we going to get these people home? And then, this dude, the waiter, singing. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, my gosh. So
Yeah,
anyway.
I told Chris the other night I had an odd or a weird feeling. I just want to throw some straws in the air.
Yeah. It was interesting, but I can't remember. Do y'all remember the name of it? I can't remember the name of it.
Ellen Starlight.
Ellen.
Stardust.
Yeah, there you go.
Ellen Stardust Diner. Yep.
It was definitely an experience.
So essentially, for our listeners, people who are trying to get on Broadway serve as waiters and waitresses while singing at this place, hoping they get looked at. Whatever. I guess the minor leagues of Broadway, however you want to put that. But anyway, let's go to the VBS. That was our main purpose in going, and where I found a lot of joy and contentment. And so Jackson Heights Community Church, we got to work with some of their members. Camille, Robin, Alyssa is their intern this summer. They actually had their service Friday night. After we left, that's when they have their church service is on Friday. And then whenever they gather together with some of the other house churches, that's usually at the King Kebab that we got to see, whenever they can afford that space. So we didn't get to go to a service. We were in the airport at that time, and we'll talk about that later. But, of course, the
Do we
vacation.
have to?
Yeah, I was about to say, do we have to? And so you mentioned, Christy, earlier, you talked about the English classes. So Jackson Heights Community Church has really been the model or example for New Song of Hope and other church planners. And what I mean by that is South Asian Community Center has been there. Camille has worked there for 14 years now. And so that is the vehicle of ministry for the church. And so what I mean by that is here we can invite people to come to church. We have a building. We've got programs. We've got ministries. But, we don't actually have to, coerce them. Most people will come. But there they have to figure out an attraction or, a vehicle to be able to get them. And so their vehicle at Jackson Heights is to use citizenship classes, English classes, and I'm trying to think if there was any others. I think those are the two main ones. I know that New Song of Hope teaches computer classes. So anyway, we got to experience a citizenship class on Friday, and that was really cool. But a lot of these people know the church based on what they call the South Asian Community Center. And so we did the VBS every night. We would meet at the South Asian Community Center. Thanks to our church, all of our supplies were donated and mailed by the church. So thank you if you gave. I know the men's ministry pretty much supplied all of our needs for VBS. That was super appreciated. Whoever had the idea of the bubble machine, thank you. That was a hit. The chalk was a hit. And so talking about VBS, and I don't mean any of this as a knock against how we do VBS in the States. I say the States, the South. I know New York is a state, but it feels like a different country.
It does.
Because when you're in Jackson Heights, as white people, you are the minority.
Yes.
And you could argue that black people are the minority too. And when I mean that, African Americans, there are Africans there, but there aren't really African Americans like you and I are thinking.
Right.
So white people and African Americans, which make up the majority of this country, are minorities in Jackson Heights, New York. Now, that's not necessarily the case in Manhattan or other boroughs, but the borough that we were in, Jackson Heights, it is primarily, India, the nation of India. It's primarily India. It's primary Bangladesh or Bangladesh,
Right.
Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan's, a lot of those Middle Eastern countries, Saudi Arabia. And so one thing that I noticed, I don't know if y'all heard somebody say this, but somebody told me, if you notice, we ran our VBS from 6 to 8 usually, and we got there around 5:30. And so one thing that I noticed was there was a surge of boys after 7. And so I asked somebody what was going on with that, and that is when their Saudi Arabia / Islam school ended.
Okay.
So they are in class learning the language, Aramaic and all these different Middle Eastern languages from about 5 to 7 p.m.
Okay.
And so that's why we saw an uptick in Muslim boys. And so when I say that, we had Hindus, Buddhists, and Muslims. And we're teaching them Christi and Savannah specifically, the Bible. And so that's kind of crazy because we don't really see those here, those kind of ethnicities here. And when we do, they're very bashful to talk to us and vice versa. And so just talk to me a little bit about, I don't want to use the phrase culture shock, but wow. Pretty much everybody at our VBS, we had about 16 kids the first night. I will say for our listeners, rain is worse for them than it is for Baptists, so rain affects them. They don't like coming out in the rain, so it did rain that first night, but they ended up coming out. The second night was a week ago tonight, was like over 40 kids.
Yeah,
it
like
was
doubled.
Mass chaos. It was crazy, but it was a blessing.
It was a good night.
And then that last night ended up being about 19. Close to 20. It rained that night as well. So just give me, not sure what your expectations were coming in, but with Bangladeshis, Afghanistans, Iranians, Saudi Arabians, just give me your thought on all the cultures just there.
For me, with the guys, we handled the games, the recreation part. We were worried about, what implementing what we had planned on doing, and then we found out it was like we didn't need to go like way in the sky or whatever you want to say with being technical or whatnot. We could just be kind of basic, which was cool, and have fun. Yeah, we didn't have to get, it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
These kids, they just want to throw some rings and do the parachute thing.
Parachute was a hit.
I don't know, the main, I think, hit was the red light, green light. I could not believe how they all knew it. And you hit it out the park with that one.
That was fun.
And the language barrier, there was a little bit of a language barrier, but the kids kind of, they knew, this was playtime, and they were good with it. There was a couple of, and I think it was like you said, the culture part with the boys. They're kind of allowed to be extra.
Yeah.
So that was a little like,
yeah. I remember.
Where's your mom?
Yeah, I remember, and that's the other thing. The parents stay there the whole time.
Yeah.
For most of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I do kind of want to talk to that because another part of this trip that was so amazing that if you come next year, and we're probably not going to be able to do it this year, but our vision with this, just to tell you guys, is some of the OGs, the originals, that Hannah and I's vision is that hopefully we'll have 2 trips a year. Not that everybody has to go twice a year, but that we would go in the winter to hand the coats out and do like a short-term mission trip, like over a weekend, not like a long thing. And then, of course, do our VBS in the summer because that's a ministry handing the coats out that our church is giving the coats for. But they do an amazing training. I thought the training they gave us was really good. And so when we share on August 5th to the church, we're going to talk about that, and I've already kind of alluded to y'all that I want to do a one-night evangelism training and use you guys and with the 3 circles and the 15-second. So she taught us a method called 3 circles, and I've got the stickers on my desk. Thank you, Christy.
Oh, yes.
That everybody's going to get to be able to put on their phones to be able to share the gospel very easily. And then also this little sticker I have on my phone of a dog and a cupcake was given to me by Amaya, if y'all remember her. Amana's little sister, Amaya, the one who called me pregnant. So anyway, that happened. That was terrible. That's a whole nother conversation. So that makes me think of the kids in New York. But when we got the training and Camille talked to us a lot about Islam, one thing I'd never heard before, I talked to Charles when we got back, and he had heard this before because he's dealt with a lot of these same people groups. And so he was familiar with that, and he's thinking about coming when we go again. And so that was the very first time that I'd ever heard somebody say that the separation between Christians and Islams begins with them thinking in Genesis chapter 2 when Abraham goes to sacrifice Isaac. Obviously, he doesn't, but that whole story he was going to, that they actually believe that it wasn't Isaac, but that it was Ishmael. So that their whole faith goes off of Ishmael. I knew it was founded on Ishmael, but I didn't know that they substituted Ishmael for Isaac. So that was kind of like a aha moment there. And so the training was really good. They taught us how to share the gospel. They really prepared us, I thought. But the one thing that I didn't realize, which they did kind of talk about, I'll give you an example. One of the boys we had, what did he have? Firecrackers? Is that what he had?
Those snap
pop things.
Yeah, so he had these little snap pop things. He probably wasn't older than 3 or 4.
That's right.
He was a little fella. And, Christy and Savannah are teaching and everything, and he's just going, choom, 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 and it sounds like little guns going off. And everybody just acted like it was normal.
Right.
They ignored him and didn't really think anything about it. I'm over here distracted. Like, why is this kid allowed to do this? And so kind of what you alluded to was that in their culture, the men are obviously elevated. They talk to us that, because we asked the question, hijabs, a lot of the young girls have hijabs. And so we asked the question, why do some girls have hijabs and some don't? One sweet girl, Medina, you could only see her eyes.
Yep.
So what's the deal? And so they told us that was based on what the father would allow them to wear. So the fathers have all the control essentially, but like that even starts as like a little kid. And that was kind of weird to me, was like, it's not like when he gets to a certain age, it's like they're going to because he's a male,
That's right.
they're going to let him do whatever.
Yeah, he was in the middle of all those kids, just dropping those things and throwing them, and it was, very distracting.
That was
That's very
distracting,
distracting.
but it was a example of how that culture is. And that they don't really mess with males as far as telling them what to do.
Yeah.
And that was even seen with some of the kids playing soccer and kept hitting the kids in the back.
Yeah.
Because we were in a public park.
Yeah.
But one story that is special, Amana, as 9 years old, accepted Christ at home based on the happiness on our faces. There was something different there with us. But kind of the striking thing to me, Christy, was she can't celebrate. She can't tell her family. And she's 9 years old.
Right. But they were so excited. They were so happy to be there. They wanted to hear the gospel, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
And they were just engaged. And then I even asked Camille if it would be all right. On like the last night, because we did 2 stories, but I sent home the picture with the Bible stories on the back, and I was like, I don't want to get her in trouble. Is it okay? And so she was like, just go ask her, go talk to her. So I was like, okay. I was like, would you like that? Would you like one? And then her friend that was with her said, can I have one? I'm like, of course. And then Amana was like, can I have one for my brother? And so I sent the Bible verse home, but just the excitement but they had to do it in secret, and they would watch YouTube videos or whatever. So
yeah, and what I've heard, not from one of them specifically, but watch YouTube videos and then erase the YouTube history.
Oh, wow.
We think of that if you're looking at something bad, but they're thinking of that and they're looking at the gospel, and if their parent finds that, I mean, they could be disowned at 9 years old, and nobody in their community thinks that's wrong. And so, because that's the way of Islam. And so, and the other thing about that is these kids and parents aren't hearing theology. When it comes to Islam, they're hearing religion and rules. They don't really know why they are Islam, so to speak. And so when Christy and Savannah are sharing these stories, it's like, oh, wait a second. And to see the adults, singing and dancing and all that. And, this past Sunday's sermon, I got a little fired up, it just made me want to go back, because I just felt like sometimes here we just get in our ruts. And
it's like marking a check off the list of the to-do list
exactly.
of the day.
And kind of not in a rude way, but kind of comparing our VBS to theirs. I feel like with our kids, the VBS is very expectational. When's my snack? What is my snack? Or are we going to play the game I want us to play? Or are we going to sing the song I want us to play? Man, they don't care what you do.
Yeah.
They're just glad you're there.
The craft's drug on, the game's drug on.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. And what I really found just kind of, it warmed my heart was every night those kids saying the Bible verse at the end of the night.
Yeah.
You had to coach some of them, obviously, because they were younger and their memory. But, I mean, to watch them, they're just...
They just love listening to themselves on the microphone.
Yeah.
But,
They love that microphone.
Right.
But we don't know how much of John 8, verse 12, which is what you were having them quote, is going to stick.
Right.
And I think that's really important. But, you guys did a great job. I really appreciate y'all. Just, Robert, for it being your first mission trip, I wouldn't have known. You were super go with the flow. Remember Ricardo, from the Uber. And one thing I look forward to, we might not see Amana again, but if we do, it would be awesome this time next year to see how she's progressed and just see what's going on in her life.
Right.
And we don't have a guarantee, and the other part of us going and doing this is, we're setting the church up for connections, because now they have over 50 names and numbers and addresses that they can follow up with.
Right.
And so, they don't have the manpower to be able to do it. So we're able to come partner with them and do it. So it was a great trip. Obviously, on the way back, got interesting. We were on a strip, Terramark, or whatever they call that, for I guess 3 hours.
The tarmac.
Tarmac.
Oh, yeah,
there we go.
yeah.
Tarmac on the plane. Were
Yeah.
y'all sitting together or no?
No, I don't think any of us were together. No, we were.
Y'all were together.
Yeah, and then Troy and Savannah were together.
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
it
was not. I just want that on record. I was back there by myself. Tanya and I were in the back of the plane, but it.
No, we weren't. You were behind me to the left. I kept snapping.
I think I was with Randy.
Okay.
Okay.
Whatever.
Well, funny story for our listeners. We get off the plane, or we land, and it felt like it took an enormous amount of time to get off that plane. So it took us forever to leave New York. We finally leave New York, storms, things of that nature. We arrive in Atlanta, and our plane for Charleston was supposed to leave at 11:45. Well, we land around 11:22, 11:23, so we're thinking we got a shot. So I'm sending texts to the whole group. I've got Troy as a runner. I've got Robert as a runner. And so y'all.
I
Oh,
ran.
you ran too?
I
Okay.
did. I was
All
like,
right.
excuse me, I got to get off. I got to connect in flight. And
So
we moved.
my idea behind that was that if I could get you guys to the gate, you could convince them to hold it until I could get me and Tanya there.
48 gates is a long way.
48 gates.
It was
It was a long way.
Yeah,
The plane had already left by the time y'all got there. It obviously left earlier than it was supposed to. That was frustrating. So we finally get everybody back. Hannah and I go to customer service. That was a nightmare. We flew Delta, by the way. Sorry to name drop, but that's who we flew. And then we wait for a long time for a rental car. That falls through. In the process of that, you and I went and talked to a representative about getting us a hotel. And she said because we booked as one, she could only give us one hotel room.
For 8 people.
For 8 people, that's not going to work. And so, we had a pregnant lady, so we tried to use that to our advantage in a way, and it worked some, didn't work some. So we waited, and so we had already reserved a rental car 6 hours before. And they had told us when we first got there, if you have reserved within the last 24 hours, you're good. So we had. Well, we had waited in line, and we were just a few people away, and they said, we gave out all the cars. And so the reservation essentially didn't mean anything. And so take everybody back. We go to the terminal. We go to McDonald's. That was a bad experience. Didn't get McDonald's. Long story. We won't go into it.
No.
And then we wait in the terminal until our flight. Did you guys sleep?
A little bit.
A little bit?
I think
tried.
Randy has a picture. He says that he will hold over our head if he ever needs money.
Okay.
I was in and out. It wasn't a lot.
It wasn't restful.
Yeah.
But
I slept a little bit. Hannah and I went off and tried to find benches, and we did. The worst decision we made, though, was that we chose them right next to an elevator. So that was bad. And the sun was already getting ready to come up. Workers were already getting ready to come in for the breakfast shift or whatever. And then finally we got home. Did y'all sleep when you got home that Saturday?
No.
No?
we took like a 2-hour nap
Yeah.
around 2 o'clock because his sister was still there, so they were ready to hear the story of how the trip went,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that stuff, and so when his sister left to go back home, then we
Yeah.
went and laid down for a little while.
Yeah. I didn't really, I wanted to, but then I was just like, well, I don't really, my second wind hadn't kicked in, but I wasn't really tired, which was weird.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I was exhausted.
Yeah.
I was
Right.
exhausted.
We all
Yeah.
slept good that night, though. I think.
Yeah, that night.
Yeah.
Was,
Slept good that night. Okay. Well, Robert, how much did your mom miss you?
I don't even really, it's just like another day with her.
I don't even know if
miss you
she
too
knew that
bad?
we were gone. She just knew that Dawn was there, and she kept checking if she was still there or not. I could tell,
Gotcha.
but I don't think she knew why. And she's like, "Where's everybody at?" Even-
I didn't know if she missed you real bad or not.
No, not really.
Gotcha. All right, guys. Any closing thoughts you guys have for our listeners?
If you have the opportunity to go, I would say do it.
I
It was an
wanted to save my
experience,
thought
so sorry.
for, later on, but you brought it up and she said something, so I'm going to say
Sure.
if you're not called to do missionary work like Charles and Sherry, but you want to do something, do a trip like we just did, because you do make a difference.
Mhm.
And I felt changed. I'll definitely go again.
Yeah.
I may not go to Kentucky,
We're not going there.
but I'll go to New York.
Don't worry about that. And I think the other part of that, Robert, is on a week of mission like that, I don't know about you, but I have felt more empowered to live on mission here
But yeah,
based on being there.
right.
So the mission has followed me home. and continue.
So make
here.
this the mission field too. We don't actually have to leave the state
That's right.
or even our
I guess,
town.
yeah.
I mean, but it's great to go places too.
Yeah.
But also there's people here.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, and
So
I
got out
thought
of it,
more
too.
of like the Kentucky trip would be more my speed because I know you guys did some construction and that kind of thing. That's more my speed. So going here was,
Sure.
definitely stepping out of my comfort zone. But it's something that I would not do again.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I definitely like doing construction work too, but to me, doing red light, green light in New York, I mean, that was pretty fun.
Yeah,
That was,
definitely.
that was pretty awesome, and just seeing, as you guys have already said, seeing those faces.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just can't replace that.
And you can't not make mention to the ones that, Camille, Megan, or not Megan, Kendall. I don't know where I got Megan from. That left the lives here and moved there just based on a trip.
A leap of faith.
A real leap of faith. And they've been there, 8 years, 12 years, however long. It's
And raising their kids there.
right.
Right.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
And then just the relationships that getting to know each other
Yeah.
as a team. I just feel like we've grown closer in Christ
Oh, yeah.
together too, and stepping out of our comfort zones
Yeah.
even more. But just
yeah.
learning things about each other and
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, Alan, they didn't know how wild I was. I think that was a little bit of a shock for them, but it wasn't too bad.
Oh, it just continues, remind ourselves, man, there's a special place in heaven for Hannah.
That's true. She really was a great leader. I mean,
She was.
that was her first time leading a mission trip, and for all those things to go wrong, she kept it together.
Oh, no pun intended, she knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, I mean, she did a great job, and she's making me nervous. She keeps saying she doesn't want to go next year. That's really making me nervous. So
Well, there's a lot of time between now
there's a
and
lot of time. Hopefully she'll miss it by then. But, man, it was a great time. Really appreciate y'all coming on Menorah and sharing. We're going to share a little bit more along with the entire group on August the 5th. And so excited about that during the Wednesday night service. So Robert, Christi, I enjoyed getting to know y'all more. As I told Robert this earlier tonight, I was in the secretary's office. I said, Robert, I missed you. And I meant that. He's been all week, and it's like, where's Robert at? But, and, we had some funny memories, too. We went to a Chick-fil-A, and we might save that for August the 5th. But I got everybody lost, and that was fun.
And when delirium set in the airport, and Troy and I were racing,
I wasn't around for that. I don't know.
that was when we were going to C50 from C2.
Oh,
no,
okay.
that was on the
Oh, yeah.
after we got off the tram after the rental car.
Whatever that
incident.
thing's called.
Oh, yeah. The subway?
The
Walk,
moving
yeah.
sidewalk.
Whatever that thing was. Oh,
Yeah.
no, I do remember that. Yeah. I remember that now. So that was tough. But I slept a lot, and that was good. All right, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for your
having us.
time. And
Yeah,
so for our listeners, if you have any questions, you'll see Robert and Christi around the church, and you can ask them about it. I'm sure they'd love to talk to you about it. And so thank you for listening to episode 116 of the Menorah Podcast, podcast that seeks to share the light, speak the light, and send the light of Jesus Christ all across the waves of the internet. Enjoy the last 2 days of July. August will be here in 2 days. Have a good day.